Good day to all our listeners. Today, we are at the Russian Embassy, is the ambassador of the Russian Federation to the Republic of Sri Lanka. We talk a range of topics that is mutually interesting to both us and you as believers. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for coming.
Our team is very new, like Lankan. Mr. Ambassador, I learned earlier in one little chit chat that you were actually not born in today's Russian Federation, but in Georgia.
Yes.
But also to an Armenian community. That's very interesting. I find it's a minority in a file that similar Soviet Republic. You are born to, but today you hold a very high position in your Russian state. How come a person from such a far remote background could make such a long and important journey? How do you explain to us how you came on the region?
I was born in the Soviet Union.
Yes.
Soviet Union consisted of 50 republics. All those were very equal, and there was no difference. You are Armenian, Georgian, nationality, religion, ethnic, something else. No. Everyone was equal, and they enjoyed equal rights, and there was no difference. And I was born in Soviet Georgia, all the colleagues of Soviet Socialist republics, and I studied in Moscow, graduated from Moscow State University during Soviet time, and I joined immediately the Soviet diplomatic service. And after the disintegration of the former Soviet Union, I decided to stay in Moscow and joined the diplomatic service of the Russian Federation. And nowadays, in Russian embassies, Russian general consulates, and the Russian foreign ministry, we have representatives of all nations, many nations. We have Muslims, we have Jews, we have Christians, we have Buddhists, with deep respect to all.
Mr. Ambassador, I even heard that your defense minister, Mr. Shoigu, is also
He is from Tuva region. Tuva is close to Mongolia, and they are Buddhists in this region. Buddhist and Buryatia, Tuva, not only foreign ministers, defense ministers, but also we have many ministers who are Tatars, who are Muslims, and Ukrainians. It's not a problem for us.
Now, I could recall that Joseph Stalin was himself a Georgian, and this Khrushchev was a Ukrainian.
Yes, Khrushchev was Ukrainian. He gifted Crimea from the Russian Federation to the Ukrainian in 1954, which was totally illegitimate.
Yeah, that actually is a good point for us to come to the next question.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, the diversity of the Russian Federation is really breathtaking. You are a living testament to it.
Yeah.
As you outlined, there are many other people like you, or the high positions in the Russian Federation, who are from diverse backgrounds. Does this diversity play a role in the Russian Federation's decision to launch the special military operation trade in the defense of the Russian-speaking Ukrainian citizens as the
We didn't want this war. Didn't want to. It's quite normal but they were forced to do it. Because many times, we kept telling Americans and their allies, please, they are against the joining of Ukraine to NATO, because you will bring your military bases close to our borders, which is totally unacceptable. It was real threat for us. And can you imagine Russian military bases close to our and their reaction? Let's imagine in Mexico, in Canada. It happened in Cuba in 1962, and we were very close to the Third World War. And we asked to provide a NATO status to Ukraine, like for Austria, like for Switzerland, but all our proposals were rejected. The answer was, we have already decided, and we are not going to talk to you.
There were several peace negotiation attempts since 2014 when US and European Union supported a regime change in Ukraine. What happened to those peace attempts? What happened to the negotiations? Why here? Very good question.
There was a coup d'etat in the Ukraine in 2019.
The anniversary is just days away.
Yes. And Maidan started 10 years ago. It was another attempt organized by CIA and other intelligence services to remove legitimate government of Yanukovych from the power, yes, and to establish a puppet regime. And they managed to kick him out. That's why there's a Russian minority in Donbass, in Crimea. They didn't support him. They didn't support it. That's why we were forced to interfere and to protect, first of all, the Russian minority in Crimea. I would like to remind you when there was coup d'etat in Cyprus in 1974, just 50 years ago, and Turkey interfered immediately and deployed the military contingent in the southern part of Cyprus. And Cyprus is divided, and 40% is under Turkish control. It's a so-called Turkish Republic on northern Cyprus. And they came there as a pretext to support Turkish minority. I remember, Mr. Ambassador, the incident in Odessa 2014, the famous burning of the Brics. I was looking with horror, and last year, when the Russian operation started, I was looking with equal horror how the Indian or Asian or African students were treated by the Iranian authorities, how the Romani or the Russian-speaking minorities were. I saw thousands of trophy videos showing women stripped naked, painted upon, tied to poles, inside the drape, assaulted, including children. How do you respond to this? Our response was very severe, and we condemn them strongly because they are Nazis, neo-Nazis. Those whose ancestors were Nazis and helped Germany, fascist Germany, to invade the former Soviet Union. And now they have become more strengthened. That's why we are fighting against them. But their sponsors are United States and other so-called democratic countries.
You declared that you expressed in the Operation Ukraine as denazification of Ukraine. Do you think Ukraine today is the only place in the world where armed Nazi militias are allowed to roam free?
Not only Baltic countries. Baltic, what about Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia?
Yeah, I understand in some Baltic countries, the Russian language speakers are facing serious,
but those who just, they're glorifying Nazis. Those who just from these republics, from Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, joined Hitler, is a war against Soviet Union.
Yeah, they joined FNSS.
Yes, in Galiciana, there was a well-known division. I would like to tell you when President Zelensky came to Canada, Canadian Prime Minister took him to Parliament as they were paying tribute to this Nazi, 97-year-old Nazi criminal, and this Speaker of Parliament who was then forced to resign. He said this gentleman was fighting against Russians, but he's crazy man. He was fighting against Soviet Union, against Hitler.
I mean, the Nazi problem in Ukraine is very well documented and very well accepted by the international community as
not by all international community. There is a hypocrisy in the Western countries. Those who try to keep their eyes blind.
But do you think your operation is capable of denazification of Ukraine?
We will reach our aim. Denazification, demilitarization of the Ukraine, and we will fight till the end.
Now I heard a statement from the force leader of NATO who actually said maybe Ukraine, without those republics that have joined close to joining Russia's division, could join NATO. So it's like a ramped-up version of the Ukrainian state joining NATO acceptable to the Russian security.
It's not the issue for discussion right now. Let's see how this can continue.
Do you think a peace agreement or negotiation or initiative as far as in Ukraine, given that the Ukrainian competency up here
have tell you a few things. There was peace agreement which was signed after 2014 with the participation of Germany and France and Ukraine, and it was not implemented. And then Poland, former president of France, Angela Merkel, said that they're not going to implement this agreement from the very beginning. There was 8 years period, and they gave possibility to the Nazi regime of the Ukraine to get more stronger and to restart war, to get back Donbass. They were trying to deceive us. And my President Putin, said that our main mistake is that we trusted the West. We don't trust them. And we started negotiations last year, and we were very close to peace agreement in Istanbul. Very close. And then Boris Johnson came to Kyiv, said, no peace agreement, continue the war. In September last year, President Zelensky, the leader of this puppet regime, let me repeat this once again, it's not an independent country, it's a puppet regime. He signed a decree. According to the decree, he has no right to negotiate with Russians. That's come. So certainly the military operation itself won't bring peace. You need to have a negotiated settlement at the end of the day. Yeah. But how can you have a negotiated settlement with NATO involving and dictating terms in Ukraine? It's up to Americans, not to Europeans. Europeans are puppets. I always say that your country, your sovereignty is limited by Washington. So it's up to Washington. If they give order to their puppets, first of all, they can start negotiations. And yes, I understand Russia, but is Russia back on its feet following the chaos of the Soviet disillusionment in early 19? Now, is the reformation and the strengthening of the Russian economy and the women power is in back? We are very strong, despite the efforts of our, let's say, opponents. I don't want to say enemies, but opponents, for destabilization of the domestic situation in the Russian Federation. Our economy has become stronger, and we will continue our special military operation. But also, we have many friends. We are not like isolation. I understand you have friends, even in Sri Lanka. Yeah, but Putin practiced the most popular foreign invader among Sri Lankans. All the US will agree, that. Yes, I am retired as Sri Lankan, but yes. But how exactly managed to beat the European and American economic pressure in this military period since last year? We have seen so many sanctions were literally flipping out of the world assignment. But yet your economy tried, your currency gained in value, your trade, actually bilateral trade with China and the rest of the world grew. And now we actually have a stronger industrial economy. How can this be? Many other countries that collapse within 3 months of under Saudi sanction. 17,000 sanctions. 17,000 of different sanctions. And now they are any. They're preparing the 12th package of sanctions. Look, I'm laughing when I read about sanctions. Yeah, it's a lose-lose game. Of course, sanctions had negative people to our economy, especially from the very beginning. But we were preparing before. We started to prepare before. We knew that this clash will come sooner or later. And if the clash is inevitable, it's necessary to strike the first. Yes, I would also like to talk a little bit of the Nord Stream pipeline, which strangely somebody blew off the coast of Sweden and Germany. It was the United States. I tell you openly. The United States and President Biden said, we will destroy this pipeline. And Victoria Nuland also, she visited Sri Lanka. He also said that we will destroy it. We are also not very happy with Ms. Nuland or Mrs. Nuland. She's the one who actually said, fuck the EU in the favor. Yeah, the fucking king, she said. I'm very sorry to say, but she said, not me. And she was one of those who participated directly in this Maidan events. Yes. I remember she goes to Maidan Square, the Independence Square, and yes, cookies. Yeah. She tried to do the same issue. No, I don't comment on it, but we offer to don't trust them. But we offer to repair the Nord Stream, no, we cannot participate in investigation. They don't allow us, and they say we will do it ourselves. But the prosperity of Germany and other European countries during decades was based on cheap Russian natural gas. Yeah. Now they get it LNG, which is much more expensive. But anyway, they get it. Our resources through the third countries, it's much more expensive, and everybody knows it. Americans, despite sanctions, they buy uranium from Russian Federation. Yes, does it come? How does it come? Are you telling me that there's no opportunity for Germany, for example, to get access to Russian natural gas to sustain their industrial might in the future, or is
Is it something that is up to the future?
I don't think that this government is possible because this government adopted very strong anti-Russian policy. It's up to the people of Germany when they will come to elections. And this coalition, they will defeat during local elections in some German lands, in Bavaria and Gessler. But it's up to the German people
To come to a completely different topic, away from Ukraine, Indian Ocean has become a geopolitical hotspot. In the Soviet times, Soviet Union provided a very much needed counterbalance to the American hegemony in the Indian Ocean. Do you think the overview is the Russian Federation still pursuing the same agenda to ensure peace and stability in the ocean without militarization?
Yes, we will continue this peaceful policy of the Commonwealth Union. We're against the politicization of this issue. We are against creation of any blocks against some other countries. And we see that all this policy of the USA is directed against China. We will see waiting for the outcomes of this upcoming meeting in San Francisco between President Biden and President Xi. You will see what are the outcomes. But once again, Americans will try to keep the domination as long as possible, which is totally unacceptable, first of all, for us and I think for China and thus for other nations of the global south, because they are fed up with it.
I mean, Americans are clearly looking at the choke points of the Indian Ocean to deny China the access to the Indian Ocean to countries, including Africa and its resources, and Sri Lanka among many of its local forests. One of the reasons why we were pushed towards bankruptcy is the territory of Sri Lanka in the geopolitical game against China. It's very clear, but we think the Russian Federation must be over with a friend to countries like Sri Lanka who want to keep the region at peace.
No doubt, we will continue our support as much as we can for our friendly countries, because Sri Lanka is like our best friends among Asian countries and other countries of the world.
I'm glad to recall the reception we gave to our former Prime Minister Srinivasa in our United States, Moscow, St. Petersburg. Still, the Sri Lankans recall those memories with affection. I see guilt of social media posts circulating every year in the NSA comes. But Mr. Ambassador, one last way that I want to talk about the Middle East. We see the Western hegemony and totalitarian control held on East under so-called rules with whatever radical when that means, but it is coming to an end, it is collapsing. And one of the turning points were the Russian intervention in Syria with the support of the Syrian government, the Syrian Republic, against ISIS. How did that go? And what role played the crushing the ISIS? Because a lot of people think, thanks to the media public, it is the Americans who crushed the ISIS, but it is the other way around. It was the UN Air Force and your military assistant that turned the fighting of him.
I would like to remind you the words of President Trump regarding Hillary Clinton. She said that ISIS should reward you because you have created ISIS. And the Americans created Taliban. It's done all the time. But you are quite correct. Our defense together with our Iranian friends, we interfered and we helped the legitimate government of the Syrian Arab Republic to defeat ISIS. And at the time, Syrian Arab Republic, the government in Damascus, were in isolation in our Arab world. Like we see with the efforts of the Chinese friends, Iran and Saudi Arabia have normalized their relations, and Syrian Arab Republic has returned to the Arab family, and President Bashar al-Assad participated in OIC meeting in Jeddah, dedicated to the sunny lands in Gaza. So we see that we managed together with our friendly countries, first of all, the Islamic Republic of Iran, to defeat ISIS. And you should, what is our other organization? Enemy. It's not important. Like ISIS was the most important threat to all the people in this region.
I will think Russia will continue to play a positive role in the peace in the East. Now there's a conflict in Gaza, there's a conflict everywhere in the East. And everywhere I could see, it's either the American hand or some of the European hand. We were efficient sharing as a positive role for peace in the case.
Yeah, we will continue our peaceful efforts. We have deployed our military in Syria. We have military base in Tarkovsk in Prague. There are also American troops in Syria, and their presence is still illegal.
Without by the warrant of
Yes, nobody invited Americans as they are looting their oil reserves in Syria. Who invited Americans? This violation of territorial integrity of Syrian Arab Republic. And nowadays, once again, we are just with the Syrian soil together with Iranians, also legal basis. And in Joseph Gaza, our position is quite clear. We condemn this attack of Hamas against Syrians on the 7th of October, this horrible atrocities. At the same time, we criticized Israel, thoroughly criticized Israel for killing civilians. And the reason is only one. The legitimate rights of the Palestinian people have been neglected for decades. They have legitimate right to have their own country within the borders in 1967 with the capital in Eastern Jerusalem. And look, there was a format for USA, EU, UN, and Russian Federation, Quastate. They were negotiating for many years. And that President Trump said no negotiations anymore. Abraham agreements will normalize relations between Israel and some of Arab countries, will give money, and that's all. It didn't work. It was a disaster. It didn't work. Because you should respect the legitimate right of the Palestinian people. It's core of the problem.
Mr. Ambassador, again, going back a little bit on the issue of Ukraine. Before Ukraine, for some decades, we were seeing the economy down for the Western Hemisphere collectively led by the United States. But Ukraine somehow, I don't know how exactly, accelerated the process of the downfall of the American empire. And now everyone is talking about the new world order, while the Americans and the State Department still talks about so-called rules-based international order and the freedom of navigation, even though they haven't signed the Sea of the North for the entire. What kind of one owner Russia in this scene? Because the Soviet Union, it was a bipolar world order, but now there's China, there's Africa, there's South America, there's other countries in Asia, and Russia also seems to be very much supporting and then a driver factor of a bipolar world. And as the what is Russia actually seeing into the future on this regard?
Multipolar world and equal relations between different nations, big country, small country, we much respect each other without any domination. But we are very different, but we must understand and take into consideration our interests, not to jeopardize each other. That's a problem. And they are again so-called American, that they say Americans are exclusive nation. For us, it is not acceptable. Totally acceptable. We deeply respect American people, but it doesn't mean that we must accept their domination as well.
With that, Mr. Ambassador, I would like to conclude. Thank you again for letting me and my team come to your embassy and take you whatever time. I hope this discussion actually helped our viewers to get insight on how the Russian Federation thinks about the situation in Ukraine, in the Middle East, generally the geopolitical atmosphere. Again, Mr. Ambassador, thank you. It's been very much a pleasure.
Thank you. I would like also to thank you for coming here. And I would like to say that so far, more than 130,000 Russian tourists have come to Sri Lanka, only by direct flights. Indirectly, a lot of them came to Sri Lanka, and they enjoy staying here. It makes me very happy. They cannot go to Europe for all reasons. That's why they are always that comes through up. Yeah, my message is don't go to Europe, come to our friendly countries, including Sri Lanka. You are welcome here.
Thank you, Mr. Lanka.